The minute I saw Saka go down, I was just like, brother,
Yeah,
no, please, Lord, please don't make anything be wrong with him. Then we hear today now as well that Martin Odegaard has suffered a setback. We were being told that, well, a lot of talk was that after the international break, he'd be back. He's suffered a setback. According to what a lot of the rumours are saying, he may not be back until December. I know we've coped without him, but how are you feeling about these injuries? There's still no Zinchenko, by the way. There's Ben White's been out. I mean, we've coped very well without these players, but they're starting to mount up, Turkish.
Yeah, that's the problem. We've coped well, but how long for? When a lot of us, like me, have said, you know, we're like this season. So I think what Arteta's managed to do, what the team have managed to do, what the people filling in have managed to do has been nothing short of immaculate up until now. Because listen, the amount of noise that we heard off the back of the Rodri injury at City, and listen, it is all season. It is a vital player, but we're missing a vital player of our own. Yes, it's not for the season, but I've always said, you know, let's see how Odegaard returns, because his injury wasn't a light injury either. You know, his ankle nearly went the whole way. So that was, you know, a touch and go to be a horrific injury. Instead, it sounds a lot less horrific as it could have been, but there's going to be some adjusting for him to come back too. So we've coped amazingly well so far. When Odegaard got injured, I can't lie, I panicked. I thought, listen, Tottenham away, City away, Atalanta in between, let alone everything else coming after that. It's not looking good, but we've coped. And we go into a patch now where we're looking at the games and we're thinking to ourselves, all right, we've got a Chelsea in there, we've got a Liverpool in there, but because we've coped so well against City, Tottenham away and other teams in the first 6-7 game weeks, we're pretty confident. But we want to hear good news about Odegaard. We want to know that, you know, I heard a week ago, the Liverpool game was the game touted as the one he returns in. That filled me with some, you know, belief and optimism, because if he does return for that game, massive game to return for. And a week later, setback on top of that, Saka's walking off injured. And the Saka don't normally come off injured. And people like to laugh about the whole limping thing, but you don't normally come off injured, especially 52 minutes in. So I'm hoping for the best. The thing is, we haven't heard anything since. And usually in the next 24 hours, you do kind of get the gist of what's going on. Is he going to stay in the camp? Is he going to return to Arsenal? It happened with Calafiori last time. None of that's happening. So maybe it was just a precaution, and Saka is good at that as well. He knows when to kind of protect himself and come off. Maybe it's that. Hopefully it is that, because I mean, England are useless, and I mean, on top of being useless, our players are going there and it's looking peak. So
yeah, I mean, like the thing is about it, like you said, we haven't heard anything yet regarding that injury. There's been a lot of rumors sort of coming out saying that it wasn't as bad as, you know, it looks like he felt like some discomfort in his muscle, and then he's just gone down straight away, which is the right thing to do, like you said. Don't make that thing worse. And then he's come off, and there was talk that he just left the ground. He wasn't on crutches or anything like that. And it may not be as bad as it looked, but the minute that guy goes down, I get worried, because he's so vital to how Arsenal play that I get worried. But hopefully it's nothing really, really serious. But it does make you worry. But you know what I mean? You said a true thing. And then, you know, Moonlight HD2 says Saka and Odegaard injury should be a wake-up call for Arteta to get some firepower. But we have coped. We have coped pretty well so far. Is that not showing the strength in depth that we have in our squad? That so far we have coped with these injuries. Trossard's come in and has done brilliantly, you know, in the absence of Martin Odegaard. And well done to him. He scored last night for Belgium and got their equaliser.
Yeah.
But he's done brilliantly. Calafiori's come in, done brilliantly on that left-hand side. Players have come in and really stepped up. And that is showing squad depth.
Yeah. I mean, the argument against people like me in the summer who said we're going in too light was we've got more quality. In the numbers we do have. We're going in light numbers-wise in comparison year on year, but the quality, we've got more. I understand that to a certain extent, and that's why I think we've managed to maneuver ourselves through this tough period as well as we have, through a mix of, you know, being so stacked in defensive positions and also having players like Trossard who can come in and do a job. well, we've hoped for Sterling to do the same and other players that hasn't quite worked out. But that, you know, we have coped well, but we are in game week 7 and we've been talking about injuries and talking about potential problems since game week 3, game week 4. So I don't think we can be naive to think that this means we don't need to strengthen in January, because if we're talking about injuries and the squad game week 3, game week 7, albeit coping with it very well, and I want that to be the caveat here, we have coped with it very well. In game week 28, game week 32, like when you're so light in certain positions, I mean, we're talking about 2 players where we've left ourselves very light in those positions, Odegaard and Saka. I think those two players, a drop off behind them is probably the biggest. Well, actually, if you include Raya and Saliba, it's a bit different. But in the attacking lineup, Saka and Odegaard are our 2 key men out of the 4. Well, 2 keyest men out of the 4. No disrespect to Havertz or Martinelli. So I think game week 7, we've been discussing injuries an awful lot. We've been talking about how we're light in certain positions, albeit having done a great job so far. I think we'd be naive not to look at January and say, you know, we've got to do something. But we've done that in January before. We've been naive in January before. I just hope that this time round we do what we need to. And I don't know what we need to do yet, because it's still very early.
I'm gonna tackle you on it. First of all, let me do this one. Fabricator, he says, Robbie, better Robbie starts transfer daily news as soon as possible. Our squad is too small. Big up and greetings from the OG community. Big up to you. Now hold on a minute. Hold on. Everyone's just saying our squad's too light, is too small. Is it? Because we've had injuries to key players and we're coping, right? So with Odegaard, you've got Trossard, you can play there, you can play Wanyeri there. Everybody's been saying, Arteta, play kids, why don't you give young players a chance? He's doing that this season. Wanyeri, Lewis Skelly, these players. So they're players that can come in and cover. When you look around all the other positions in the team, there is cover, isn't there? If you've got no Saka, you've got Raheem Sterling who can come in, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, we've got no cover for Saka.
Look at that! Come on, you see, you're what?
He has to have done something by now. For me to be confident in Sterling covering Saka, he should have done something by now for me to say, all right, you know, if he gets his chance, he's going to take it. I've been very underwhelmed.
This is another thing, right? So first of all, you've got to give him a chance, right? Because he's only just joined. Remember Havertz, yeah? Remember how you was Havertz last season?
Let's see how many times that can work.
Remember Havertz. But look, I'm just looking at it, right? Look, so we talk about cover. You got Raheem Sterling, who's supposed to be the cover there. Whether you think about he's cover, yeah? You've got on the left-hand side, Trossard, who could cover Martinelli. You've got Gabriel Jesus, who can cover for, he's the cover if anything happens to Havertz. I know he hasn't started well as well, but he's the cover. You've got at the back, we've seen the cover in action. On the right-hand side, you've got Timber who can play on that right-hand side. You've got also Tomiyasu who can play on that right-hand side. You've got Timber who can cover on the left. Remember, we've had no Zinchenko. He's hardly been on. You've got Calafiori who can cover on that left. You've got Kivior, who did very well when he came in as cover for that left. Kivior can cover as a centre-back as well. You've got Calafiori who can also cover as a centre-back. Ben White can move to a centre-back as well if need be. In the defensive midfield position, if Rice is out, you've got Partey, right? You've got Jorginho, you've got Marino in there. Is that, I mean, where is it we need to buy all these players that we're so light? Where are we so light? And then one other thing, just before I come to you, Turkish, one other thing is, right, you're never going to get like-for-like cover for Saka.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to have a like-for-like. Because if you've got a like-for-like cover for Saka, that player is probably not going to be wannabe cover. He's going to be starting somewhere. So, you know, there's not a like-for-like cover for Haaland, is there, at Man City?
Mm-hmm.
You haven't got a like-for-like for De Bruyne. You haven't got a like-for-like for Rodri. Sometimes you have to use the players you've got and find a way.
But it seems like, okay, so you're right. Let's look at the attack first, because the defensive cover, I'm not concerned about defensive cover. Like, we are stacked to the point where they're pretty much all flexible enough to play across the back 4. Okay, let's look at the attacking. You said Sterling for Saka, Trossard for Martinelli, Jesus can do that along the front 3. But already with one piece out of that you know, the four-man starting attack, which is Odegaard. Already without that piece, Trossard, who is the backup you said for Martinelli, comes into number 10. So now if something happens, Sterling's the backup for all three of these, or all two of these, well, the wings, essentially. Or we're saying Jesus. So it becomes very thin. On Jesus, yeah, but on Jesus as well, people think that I was backing Jesus 2 weeks ago in terms of thinking he deserves to start. He doesn't deserve to start, but Lee said something on Forever Arsenal that went mini viral on Forever. He said he would panic without Havertz in the side. But he's also a man that doesn't think we went into the season light. So if you would panic without Havertz in the side because Jesus is that big a fall off, then we're not as strong in that position as people, you know, would like to think. And I you know, I actually agree to a certain extent that against Southampton at home, I think you can play Jesus up top and still believe you're going to win the game comfortably. Listen, we saw what happened in the game with Jesus up front. It wasn't comfortable, far from it. But you could assume you are going to do it before the games. Jesus up top, we're going to win the game. But it's the Liverpools, it's the Chelsea's coming up, it's all the bigger teams coming up, the more difficult teams to maneuver around. Where if we can't test the waters, and look, Ranieri and Lewis Skelly, I thought Southampton and Leicester were ideal games for them to start. They didn't start, which indicates to me that they won't be starting any big game unless hands are tied behind Arteta's back and there's nothing he can do. Because if they didn't start those games, we might as well not talk about them in terms of depth, and rightly so. Because I never want to rely on 17, 18-year-olds. So if they didn't start Leicester, Southampton, let's not talk about them for Liverpool.
It's early in the season, though. It's early.
But I mean, the home games against newly promoted sides. It's early. You're not going to get it again. In terms of two of them are out the way now already. And I thought they were ideal for a Ranieri or a Lewis Skelly to start, get some more game time, acclimatise and all of that stuff. They didn't. So I don't see them coming in for Chelsea or Liverpool. So with one Odegaard out in attack, we're all of a sudden light, because you mentioned Sterling, but like, we have to give him a chance. I have to give him a chance. But the chances he's had so far, aside from Bolton, where, let's be honest, that the ball fell to him on the goal line and he tapped in. Aside from that one, where his performance was better than we've seen in other games, if we have one more injury and Sterling starting the game, because Jesus and Sterling both were not good enough on the weekend against Southampton. So as much as they're there for depth by name, the quality at the moment is up for question. And that's where, against Liverpool this month, against Chelsea this month, or next, whenever it is, you know, hopefully Odegaard is coming back, because we're going to need him. We've coped well, but we're going to need him 100%.